Hello and welcome to Module 1, Lesson 3. As you can see by the heading, we're going to take a look at WHMIS, HHPS, and lab safety. Okay, WHMIS. I'm sure you've all seen this before. And note here the pencil. It is a copy, as most of this PowerPoint is. So WHMIS, what does it stand for? Each of the letters stand for something. The W for workplace, H, hazardous, M, materials, information, system. It's been in place since about 1988 with the main reasons to provide information about hazardous materials in both school and the workplace, to let the workers, students know they have a right to know what they're working with, right? You can't just blindly use chemicals and not know what it could potentially do. And, of course, with the goal of WHMIS to reduce injury and disease that can be caused with some of these chemicals that we do use in our lives. So let's take a look at the symbols and the classes. So as you can see, there's 6 different classes. They are recognized from A all the way to F alphabetically, and 8 different symbols. So you'll note that Class D here has 1, 2, 3 symbols, and we'll take a look at those in a bit more depth. So the first class, compressed gas, or Class A, compressed gas, just as it sounds. So what it is it's a gas, so at room temperature and pressure, so say oxygen, carbon dioxide, it's a gas for us. Now what's been done is this gas has been either crunched together, so tightly, extreme pressure, or the temperature has been reduced so much that it's actually turned into a liquid. Now these canisters that compressed gas is kept into is under a lot of pressure. If they're punctured, they can actually become a dangerous projectile because there's so much force being released, change of state from liquid to gas, or they can even explode. So some examples are propane, helium, and oxygen tanks. So these tanks over here, according to WHMIS, would need to have a symbol like this indicating compressed gas. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So this is a symbol of fire, flame, flammable. You probably guessed it. It's Class B. So anything in this class, it could be solid, liquid, or gas, will ignite from a spark or an open flame, and it has a potential to really, really burn. So examples include oil, gasoline, spray paints, or kerosene. Okay, next one. Oxidizer. And I'm skipping here to this symbol. It looks a lot like a flame, but it's got this O here. And what an oxidizing material does is it's not necessarily going to burn itself, but it will feed a fire. So for most fires, oxygen is a key ingredient to make things to burn. And things that are oxidizers can actually cause something to burn maybe that normally wouldn't burn. And sometimes reactions can even happen at room temperature between certain materials or with slight heat. So some examples of things that are oxidizers or things that would feed a fire are ozone, chlorine, and nitrogen. Okay, moving along here. So our next group of symbols are Class D, and there's actually three symbols in this class. The thing about Class D is everything here can make you sick. So toxic are things that are kind of a long-lasting effect. So a carcinogen or can affect your respiratory tract. It's not going to necessarily affect you today, but with continued exposure, it can affect you years to come. Now this symbol stands for poisonous, and this is something that can cause immediate injury. So it's something that's poisonous, that could kill you even. And this one is biohazard. And it's, again, something that can make you sick, but it's from microorganisms, things that are living. So, for example, maybe there's some sort of contagious bacteria or hepatitis C virus. So all 3 of Class D make you sick, whether it's going to happen, over a long period of time. Could be poisonous, fatal, or a biohazard, something that's a living organism. Okay, this one, corrosive material, it's class E, and it's actually the most common symbol on household products that you'd see. These things can cause serious damage, burns, blindness. They can corrode or eat through metals. So some examples here are battery acid. So this is a picture of a battery that has been exposed to the acid that's inside, which is actually how the battery works. Electrons travel through this acid. However, if it leaks, it can be quite corrosive, or bleach. Okay, class F, dangerously reactive. Now these guys are extremely unstable or highly reactive material. They can become self-reactive under conditions of shock or increased pressure or temperature. So they're not common in the workplace because of these reactions. They need to be handled with special training or supervision is required. So you don't really see these that often. And if you do, be aware that, they're very dangerous. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at in this PowerPoint video are HHPS, or hazardous household product symbols. So just like WHMIS, HHPS is a system that's been created to inform the consumer of potential dangers, but of household products, things that you'd find under your cupboard, in your garage. These labels are mandatory for all chemical products. So if there is something we're using that has a potential risk, it needs to be on that label so we are informed and aware of what we're using. Now this, we say, is kind of similar to WHMIS, except of course it is for household products. Now there's different shapes used for HHPS and different colors. So the first one here is kind of a yellow triangle, and that means caution. Be careful. The next level is this orange square, and it's a warning. And then the red stop sign is very dangerous. So if you see this one here, yikes, it's dangerous, not just a warning or a caution. So the second variation with the HHPS is there's only 4 symbols used. And you might figure that out because chances are you're not going to have highly reactive things in your home, for example. So as we talked about here, the outside shapes, danger, warning, and caution, these are the 4 symbols: poison, corrosive, flammable, or explosive. So the 2 are used together. So if you have this hand, the hand here means corrosive, and it's in the danger, so this would be dangerously corrosive. Do not stick your fingers in there. Versus, say, the triangle with the corrosive sign, which means caution, it's corrosive. So just be careful. Okay, so hopefully going through those made a bit of sense for you. And we're going to move on to the next point, and it's lab safety. Now in this class we won't actually be in a laboratory, but if you continue with science you may find yourself there one day. So what we want to do is just run through these rules. So first things first, you have to look at yourself coming into that laboratory. You have to make sure that your clothes are safe. Long pants and sleeves, mandatory. If something splashes up on you that could be corrosive, for example, you don't want it burning your skin. You want to make sure your clothes aren't too loose, because if you're wearing something really loose, it might knock something over or catch on fire. No sandals. Just like the long pants and sleeves, you want to make sure that your feet are covered as well. Hair tied back. Just like the loose clothes, make sure your hair is out of the way, doesn't knock anything over, get into anything. No loose jewelry, such as a necklace. No contacts, glasses only. And this has to do with the fact of maybe heat or some chemical that could bond the contact to your eyes. Okay, next thing to look at is personal protective equipment. You often see this as PPE. So goggles, you've got gloves, chemical resistant gloves, and of course a lab coat. So this is kind of what maybe your kind of typical chemist would look at, like the goggles, the gloves, the lab coat. Okay, some rules to keep in mind. Never work alone. Only work on approved experiments. No running, jumping. You got to work quietly. No eating, drinking, or chewing anything in a lab. Keep your workstation clean. Less chance of contamination. Don't leave experiments unattended. Report all spills or breaks. And above all, use your common sense. So if something doesn't seem safe, go with that gut feeling. Okay, safety equipment. You need to know the location of all the science lab safety equipment. All labs will have these items there, and you should be aware of them and how to use them. Safety shower, eye wash station, fire blankets, fire extinguishers, fire exits, telephone, first aid kit. Okay, these are things that would be in every lab, and like I said, you need to know or be aware of those before you start working on an experiment. Now, what I want you to do now is read the online content. There's a lot of information there. It reviews the WHMIS, it reviews the HHPS, but it also talks about chemical, heating, Bunsen burner, and electrical precautions. So please read through all of those. You've been given some space in your notes to record important details as you go. Okay, thank you. Have fun.